What's up, guys? This is Danny from Brevidy. Today, we're going to be doing a fun little quick interview, kind of just going through my experience building the plugin, some of the challenges that I've faced, some of the things that I've found along the way. I've been answering some general questions to help inform you guys about kind of the process and the behind the scenes of what it takes to actually build Brevidy. So I started my career building After Effects plugins about 7 years ago, 8 years ago now it's 2025. And I've always been part of the motion graphics and video editing space. I used to do that a lot as a freelance consultant, as a full-time employee for different companies. But I started building these tools that helped motion graphics artists utilize After Effects better. So whether that's workflow enhancement tools, creating different special effects, we've created a large catalog of different products that are really geared for post-production artists. And as I have been building this company and building these tools, I've had to create marketing material for the industry and for my audience, mostly short form video. And short form video is so popular these days. So I knew I wanted to get on it. I knew that we needed to have some nice social media short form content such as Instagram Reels and TikToks. But what I found was that it's really challenging to create the animated captions that a lot of social content creators are utilizing in their social media posts. So that's really hard to do in Premiere. And I started hacking away at my own little tool that just made it easier for myself to create this type of content. And the more I worked on it, the more I realized that other people were having the same pain point when using Premiere. I want to be able to create these really nice animated TikTok style captions, but it's really challenging to do that inside of Premiere. So I started demoing the tool to some different users, to some different creators, got some really great feedback from them, and just kind of kept iterating with these different creators and users to create a product and create a plugin that just makes it really easy to create these types of social media posts. So we started doing the animated captions. That was a big hit. A lot of people were struggling to find a good workflow to do that inside of Premiere. And then we realized, okay, let's see where else we can start enhancing this tool. So we started plugging in some AI, some large language models into the tool that would do fun things like automatically recommend stock media for your content, will automatically recommend emojis for your content. And it can even take long form content, such as like a podcast or an interview, and it can use AI to identify those like core moments that are great for social media, and it will pull those out and create new sequences from there. So I wouldn't say that it's like, one moment in time that sparked the creation of Brevity. It's kind of just been a long journey of talking to people, talking to users, figuring out different ways that we can help them create this type of social content quicker and more easily. And we just kept building and building on the tool. And so we've got some really cool and exciting new features coming out in the future, most of which we can thank our users for recommending to us and just telling us about how they like to use the tool. So yeah, it's been a really fun journey. Like I said, I was creating animated captions, and it was kind of two different things that we were working on at the very beginning. One of which was, okay, let's create these animated captions super easily inside of Premiere. And it uses an After Effects Mogurt on the back end, which I'm, from the After Effects world, that's where I kind of got a lot of my experience in the industry. So creating that template wasn't too much of a challenge. The more that we worked on it, we kind of ended up pushing After Effects to its limits. But that's been, a fun kind of tinkering in order to like get After Effects to cooperate properly with the animated captions. So yeah, the early version was, very minimal caption generation using this After Effects template that would render the captions. But also, I was really fascinated with this company called Opus, which maybe some of you are familiar with. But what it does is it takes your long form content and automatically extracts out these social clips. And this was great. I was using that because I was, recording different long form pieces of content for Brevity, even for some different clients. And I didn't want to spend the time to go through and pull out all of those different clips manually. So Opus does a really good job at that, but that is a website that you have to go to. And I didn't want to have to export media and re-upload it to this website and wait for them to transcribe it and generate these clips. I wanted to do this all directly inside of Premiere. I was like, that'd be so cool to have a Premiere tool that can automatically recommend and like pull out these social clips from different podcasts or radio shows, whatever it is. And so that's what that was kind of like the first like big two features were, okay, let's create some minimal animated captions, and also let's create this workflow for pulling out social clips automatically using AI. And it was very crude. It didn't really work that well. But after talking to different users and people who are creating a lot of social content, specifically people who are working for like podcast studios, we started just getting more and more feedback, learning how we can improve the tool. And so I think that's like what we can attribute a lot of what Brevity is today is based off of that early feedback and those early conversations that we had with different content creators who were just, looking to do the job faster, right? They're not completely replacing themselves with AI. They're just utilizing this tool that allows them to create their content quicker. So yeah, very early version was tricky. It didn't really work that well, but it has been over a year now of iterating upon this. We've gotten to a really good spot, and I'm excited for where the tool's going, where it's at currently, and also all the other conversations that we continue to have with our users. There's been so many people that we've had conversations with over the past year who have really helped us just kind of determine what people are looking for, what some of the pain points are, and then how we can solve them with this plugin. We've worked with a ton of different influencers. One that I'd like to specifically call out is Premiere Gal. Kelsey at Premiere Gal has helped us an incredible amount by utilizing the tool, adopting it into their own workflow, and providing us with a bunch of different feedback for, hey, this tool isn't working that correctly, or this feature could be enhanced by adding, one more animation step. So having that back and forth with her and her team has been really beneficial for us, just to kind of like determine what the overall market is looking for, what the overall industry is looking for. I think that Premiere Gal has a very good pulse on editing in Premiere and kind of like being a content creator. And so she has been able to give us a bunch of different advice based off of her years of experience and just domain knowledge of the industry at large to kind of craft and help us determine where we need to go with this, what are some great new features that we should add. So she's been awesome. I mentioned Opus. They used to be called Opus Pro. Maybe they're Opus Clip now, but they've been very inspirational for us. Again, because I really wanted to create this process that would use AI to automatically extract clips from long form content. So they were kind of like that first idea, the first like ones to the market that created this process. And we just took it, made it our own, implemented it into Premiere. And yeah, that was like a very good like jumping off point. So where we've been building After Effects tools for 8+ years now, we've kind of established a very good jumping off point for creating Adobe plugins. And so we have, templates and years of experience creating these different plugins for After Effects. Translating that into Premiere was a little challenging, but it is still very similar to creating plugins for After Effects. So the first few steps were, okay, let's establish, kind of what we are looking to build here. First one, we want to have animated captions. Second, we want to have these clips automatically extracted from long form content. So those were kind of like the two main features that I started with at the beginning of this process. For those who have used Brevity before, a lot of people are using them for creating animated captions. But at the beginning, that actually wasn't really an option. There was just the Autocut button. And so Autocut would do the automatic clip extraction from long form content, creating new sequences with those social media posts, social media cutouts. And it would also generate a captions track. So that was kind of like the first, I'd say, like minimal viable product that we created was, hey, it's creating animated captions, but it's part of this longer form process of pulling out these clips from long form content. So we created, just tinkering away, hacking away, just to use as our own like kind of internal tool to pull out clips and generate these animated captions. And once we kind of got that smoothed out and working to a satisfactory level, that's when we started rolling it out to some different beta testers and some different users just to get their feedback on the tool. And that's what we do a lot here at Plug and Play is we will, identify something or some pain point in the market, even if it's something that we're personally experiencing. And we'll spend, a few months just hacking away at it, creating something fun that we can use internally, and then slowly start to roll it out to different users, getting some beta testers in there to kind of figure out, okay, one, is the tool even working? But also, is this useful? Where can we add value? What are some other features that are important for users to have in the product? And then also, what are some features that maybe aren't that important to have in the product? So just that early stage of hacking away, sitting in the basement at 3 a.m. coding, just trying to get something to work is a really enjoyable and fun experience. When we were first getting started, we just don't have that many users. And so when you're first launching a product or launching a plugin, you spend all this time developing it and kind of like trying to find beta testers, but that can be really challenging. And it's kind of hard to find that initial audience, that initial group of testers to, help you determine if the product's working or determine if you're building in the right areas. And we were grateful because we had a bunch of After Effects users who have used all of our products that we built over the past 7 years. But now we're entering this new market, which is Premiere, and kind of like more geared for video editors versus animation artists. So there was some overlap in our user base of existing After Effects users who, use Premiere as well and are looking for this type of product. But still, there wasn't enough for us to properly test the tool and to properly fill out like a good beta testing group. So we had to go and, reach out to colleagues and friends and people on the internet just to, hey, can you test this tool? Is this working? Is this something that, you find valuable? So you're wearing a lot of different hats and you're trying to bring people in to test a tool. You're trying to build the tool. You're trying to debug things with Adobe. You're trying to build marketing material. And then you have to build this whole, back end to service all of this. So yeah, finding different users, making sure that the After Effects template works correctly and is super robust. And then the third thing I'd say is with Brevity and kind of like how, like there's so many different features that we built into a tool now, such as the automatic, like the recommended emojis, the recommended stock media. You're kind of bringing together a lot of different APIs and services to all interact cohesively. And so we have to utilize ChatGPT, for instance, to recommend the emojis. And then we have to use an emoji library to actually pull them. We have to use a transcription service that we work with very closely and our partners now with to generate the initial transcription. So there's a lot of kind of moving pieces that have to come together in order to work correctly. And getting all those to work correctly is a little challenging, but it's all part of a journey. It's hard. It's really hard. You have to be dedicated to it. You have to have a lot of focus and be diligent about your work. It's very easy to kind of get distracted by other things that are happening out there, maybe other ventures that you could be taking, other products that you could be building. But it is challenging to just sit down and focus on, one thing that you have conviction on for, months and months on end. So that type of dedication and focus is challenging and is really hard to do. It's a lot of headache. It's a lot of long nights and, banging your head on the keyboard trying to figure out why this bug is still popping up. And I'd say beyond like kind of the engineering aspect, which is where I spent a lot of my time, but now I'm kind of shifting away from that. You're wearing a lot of different hats. And as a, product developer, as a After Effects plugin author, as a Premiere tool developer, you are creating the product, you're writing the code for it, you're designing the UI for it, you're reaching out to different customers trying to figure out what are some of the best features to implement. You're coordinating with different platforms to try to get your tool listed there, answering support tickets, doing outbound sales. There's so many different aspects of kind of being a smaller team and a entrepreneur with, I started kind of by myself and eventually built a team. But in the early days, you're trying to just do all of these different things while staying focused on one idea. It can be hard to decide where your time is best spent, whether that's helping out existing customers, talking to new customers, building the actual tool, writing the code, working on deals with larger organizations. It's hard to determine where's the best spot to be focusing your time. But, if you just continue working hard, hopefully you'll find success. When you're building a tool that's really focused on workflow and creating an efficient process, it seems counterintuitive when you're spending all this time, manually writing code and wearing all these hats, talking to all of these different people, trying to balance all of these different things. It's like, okay, I'm building this product so that people can be faster and quicker, but I still feel like I'm going slow because I'm still, wearing all of these different hats, trying to do all of these different things at once. And so I think that, with the goal of creating this product to empower users to be more efficient, it's made me think about my own company and running my own business in a more efficient way. And a lot of that is delegation and trusting people to do good work and, creating processes that we can use internally and externally to just make it easier for our team to operate. Essentially, the goal of what Brevidy is to create processes and workflow that allows your team to operate more quickly. Additionally, I'd say Brevidy uses a lot of AI in its workflow to automatically recommend clips from long form content, extract or generate emojis, suggest emojis for your content, suggest stock media. And so we're utilizing a lot of AI on the back end to create these workflows. And as we started implementing more and more of AI into our own product, we started implementing AI more into the company as well, because we have lots of experience here implementing these APIs and large language models into a tool. Now we can start adapting that to work within our own company. So being able to implement more processes and automations inside of the business has been really great. I think it's been able to help us scale faster and focus more on our customers instead of some of the manual processes that we were doing before. The big thing that we found when we're using Brevidy is the animated captions. And that's what everyone is looking for these days, whether you're a professional video editor or a novice just getting started video editor. Every client is creating social content these days and requires these animated captions. Now, the pain point is that Premiere doesn't do a good job of doing this. They have some sort of captions that you're able to utilize in the program, but they're not animated, they're hard to edit, and they're just not set up for social. And so when we are creating social content, whether it's an Instagram reel or even the intro to a YouTube video, we're able to utilize our own presets with Brevidy to create a consistent style across all of our different content that is fun and engaging. It grabs your eye, and it's very dynamic, that renders directly inside of Premiere. We don't have to export the video, go to a different platform, have it transcribe it, and mess around with the captions there. We're able to do it all inside of Premiere, which is where we create all of our content anyways. And so previously I was, using CapCut or some other website to generate the captions for our content, but that would take all this time. It degrades the quality of your video because you have to export the content before you go and create captions. And it just added a bunch of time to our process. But now with Brevity, we're able to do it all inside of Premiere, saves us a bunch of time, and we all have a consistent style to work off of because we have really nice presets. I think of the advancements kind of in AI have been very polarizing for people. On one hand, you've got these people who are embracing it and who are really loving it and are just utilizing it a lot in their work, almost replacing themselves entirely with replacing themselves entirely with AI, which takes the creativity out. AI is not there, where it's creating amazing content on the first go, and so you kind of have some crappy, subpar content that's being created because people are just leaning so heavily on these tools. So that's one side. And on the other side, you have these people who are completely anti-AI. They'll never use it. They don't want to touch it or even look at it because that's so insulting to their creative process that they can't fathom ever utilizing this. And so I think you have a very polarized kind of sentiment right now. But what I would say is that AI is just a tool like any other tool. It's the same, kind of thing that happened with Photoshop back in the day. Every, photographer was insulted that anyone would ever use Photoshop. It is, completely degrades the creative process. It's not real. I hate it. But then people started adapting to it and really realizing that Photoshop's just a tool. And it's just another way to express your creativity. It's another way to get the job done faster. And then people started embracing it and really utilizing it more. And I think that's the same thing of what's going to happen with AI and balancing creativity, but also efficiency, is you are still going to be the conductor of the creative process. Now, how you get from point A, which is the raw, uncut footage, audio, to the polished finished product, that's up to you. And it's your job to determine that finished product. How you get there is where the efficiency comes in. If you are just doing it all manually and spending hours and hours and hours trying to get to this finished work product, then that's kind of your own fault, and you're not being efficient. But if you don't have a vision for the end product and you're just using AI to create the whole thing for you, and now you're no longer expressing any creativity, I don't think that's beneficial either. So I think the people that would really win and who are correctly balancing efficiency with their creativity is they are using AI to help them get to their vision, which is that end work product. So they have the end work product in mind. They're the one who is conducting the overall vision for that end product, and is bringing their own creativity, their own taste, and their own finesse into that product. They're using AI to help them get from point A to B. And that's how I think that our team and that myself balances that kind of tightrope walk, where you don't want to lean too much to one side. You got to be flexible. You got to be willing to try and implement new technologies into your workflow, but you still need to be the one who signs off on that final work piece and say, yeah, this expresses what my vision was. This expresses my creativity. This is my product that we built, and we use some AI to help us get us there. But this is my vision, and now we've properly executed on it in an efficient way. Well, thank you guys for watching. Happy to share some information kind of like behind the scenes on how we operate, how I operate, and Brevity at large here. We have a free 7-day trial. So if you're interested in checking out Brevity, if you're creating any type of social content inside of Premiere, you should really give this a shot. I think it's going to increase the efficiency and the speed at which you edit quite a bit. We've got some exciting new features that are coming out. We've got great features that are already super robust inside of the tool with thousands of users utilizing the product. So get over to brevity.pro and sign up for a free 7-day trial. Let us know if you have any questions, any feedback, or any feature requests, because we're very good about listening and talking to you all to properly implement that inside of the tool. But thank you so much for watching. This has been Danny and Bob with Brevity.